Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Security IQ. Say hi to everyone, Min.
Hey, everybody.
This is Elisa, and today we have on Martine. Say hi, Martine.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
So we're super excited to have Martine because both Min and myself have worked with her. I've been working with her for a long time from previous jobs, previous lives.
lives.
But one thing I can consistently say about Martine is she is a true professional. I have referred her to quite a few people, and every single time they come back to me with, she's phenomenal. She's awesome. She's amazing. All the stuff that you've done that I've seen out there, many of you have probably even seen her work and didn't even realize it. If you're on LinkedIn or following this page, I'm sure you'll see a couple things here and there pop up that Martine had her hands in. So with that, Martine, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business, what you do, who you work with, and what sets you apart from some other folks in the industry?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And hi, Min, how are you? I'm glad to be on this forum. This is really exciting, actually. I wanted to thank you both. So I have a background in marketing, about 25 years in corporate. I spent a big chunk of my career working for multinationals. Mostly in high tech type industries. So very technical, very, whether it was water and wastewater, whether it was security, whether it was automotive or refinish. I've worked in industries that are fairly complex and always B2B. So that's one thing that is unique, is that the B2B component is very unique to the different type of marketing that's available. I have since started my own firm. It's called Pür7 Marketing.
How long have you been doing this?
Just coming on 4 years now. Wow. So I'm really excited. It's really picking up. I mean, it was a struggle, of course, like any startup. It's I mean, I did well right from the start because of my network, and actually that's something I'd like to thank right now. Actually, my network has been fantastic, including you, Elisa, and Min. I mean, it's just been it's been a challenge, but it's been a dream. So I've been. What I bring to the table is a little bit different. A lot of people will categorize my type of work as an agency. What I do is a little bit more strategic. So I come in more as a consultative role. It's more of a consultancy where I will really come in at a strategic level where we talk more on a planning level. So what's the plan for the entire year? And it doesn't only include marketing, and it certainly doesn't only include communication. It really includes the entire array of what sales and marketing have to do. So, and I mentioned sales for a specific reason, is because selling or sales is a component of marketing that nobody even recognizes. Mm-hmm. It's really that, how do you reach that target audience? No matter who the target audience is, that persona would either like to be met face-to-face, they would like to educate themselves using social media, they would like to educate themselves using Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and obviously websites. So there is that whole digital component that I don't want to neglect, because it's insanely important, especially when you consider that, and Elisa, you might know this, and probably Min as well, that 70% of the purchasing decision is already made before they even reach a salesperson. So when you think about that, that's 70% of the buying decision has to be done online. So there is a huge, there's recommendations as well. So there's a component of traditional marketing and online digital marketing. But that sales component, when I work with my clients, we always have that conversation, because they fail to understand the importance of what a salesperson does, how he needs to be trained, how he handles objections, what's his script, how does he follow up? Is it a soft follow-up, a hard follow-up? So we have this whole conversation as well, in addition to the entire marketing element, press releases, PR, digital marketing, email campaigns, mailers. I mean, again, not underestimate the importance of a mailer. It's funny that, people think, oh, it's all digital in a digital age. And I agree, it is. There's probably 50% of the budget that is spent on the digital component, but the trade shows, the networking, the thought leadership, how important that is to blog and to have articles written about you and become industry experts, and all that component which is more that traditional marketing that is so important in B2B.
And how is that different than like a traditional agency and what they would normally do for a client?
So again, I come in more of as a consultant, whereas an agency, you'll have everything that we do from a tactical level. So they'll do the copy, they'll do the visual, the photography, the videos, the infographics. But that strategic planning level, I come in and I speak with the CEOs and the CFOs and the COOs and the CROs. I come in at that level where they're planning their entire strategy for the year, including the sales strategy. So it's important for them to have a message, a unique message. Again, so many clients I meet, they want just social media or they want just a logo. Well, just a logo, it's not just a logo. It's the branding, it's the corporate identity, it's what does a proposal look like? It has to be the same across the board. It's what's the voice, what's the language, and making sure that you're speaking as a language that everybody can understand.
So can you talk a little bit about what strategy means? Because it's such a global term. And I think letting the audience understand what strategy really means, because it's great to be strategic, right? Because, everybody's strategic at very different levels. But what do you mean by strategic or strategy planning?
So it's exactly that. At the beginning of every year, it is critical for every organization to have a plan. What's the plan for the year? How are they going to grow their sales? At the end of the day, it's all about revenue, brand recognition, what's going to grow the revenue. So that having a plan in place, it's and with deadlines and accountability, and that's where a lot of companies, they just and I'm not going to say necessarily the larger organizations, they usually have a strong plan, and that's where I help. Oh, no, definitely not. But what's important is that a lot of times I get called and they don't even know what their growth plan is and how to achieve that growth plan and what's their budget to achieve that growth. They don't even have a budget. I mean, they don't even have a marketing or a sales budget. And I send out, before I even meet a client, I send out a questionnaire and I ask them, what's your unique selling proposition? What's your product? Why is it different? Why would I, what is, I listened to this podcast, Christopher Lochhead. Oh my gosh. It's so important to understand you're different. What is your different?
I'm going to listen to it.
Oh my gosh. There are so many, he has so many episodes. But what's important is what's your different? Why are you different? And a lot of times they don't even know themselves. So I have to work with them to strategize and to plan and to understand what's the message. Why would I buy from you and not from you when you have the same product? So, and outlining that into their communication plan. Again, I work with so many different clients. By the way, I have quite a few. I'm based in Montreal, so go Habs go. But I have a lot of clients that are in New York, in Boston, in France. I have clients pretty much all over the place. And
you've really carved out a niche in terms of the security industry. It sounds like you have a variety of clients, but a good portion of your experience, yes, your clients, your history is in the security realm or security technology.
So, and it's unique. It's a unique type of industry because of the multi-channel marketing level or the 2-level marketing where, you work with channels, you work with integrators or so there's that 2-level of marketing that's unique. Well, a lot of industries, especially when it's very highly technical, it's important to have that 2-level marketing because they have channels or reps or rep firms, or you call them whatever you want, but there's always that middleman, I guess, that'll sell for you, that'll need tools to be able to, and to understand in their portfolio, how do you become that top manufacturer that they're going to sell. So I've had a lot of this type of experience. I've worked with organizations that have this type of marketing structure, and in security, it's very unique. There's the hardware component and the software component, and how the integration is so important and how they need to work together.
You're bringing up a really tough question for me that I've had to deal with. How do you get that messaging precise and duplicatable when you have multi-layers, right? So if I have rep firms that work for me or selling my product, and I need to train them and get that messaging tight so that they're representing me out in the field, they don't necessarily work for me. I'm not, they're not a direct employee, but I have to make sure that the information they're regurgitating is representing my product, my company, my organization in the right way. And the messaging is consistent. How do you do that?
And it's a very good question. And it's not even just the messaging. And yes, the messaging is important because they're going to be representing you. They're your voice in the industry. They're the face of your. So there's quite a lot that goes on. And again, and that's where I come back to what strategy is. So to answer your question, Min, it comes back to the same thing. What are we doing as a whole to make sure that not only that messaging is tight, but that you are top of mind as a manufacturer and you are being pushed out because they have a portfolio of products. They could choose any one of their products when they're in front of a client.
Right.
But what's important is to be able to equip is the right word, equip them with the right tools and not only just equip them, but also train them. And also, so you have training sessions on a regular basis. You have incentives on that'll entice them. Again, it's always about, and this is a classic marketing. It's as a recipient or as a buyer or you always need to speak their language. So what's going to make it for them? What's going to make it easier for them to go out and sell their products? They need to have the language, like you said. They need to have the training. They need to have the technical skills. And then also provide them with the tools, whether it's top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. They need to have the tools that no matter where they are in their sales process, that they have that confidence to go out and sell the product and product knowledge and incentive, because at the end of the day, they're salespeople. They want to make money. They want to do well. They want to do well for their families. They want to perform. They have egos. They want to, everybody wants to perform well. So how can I make that happen for them? How can me as a marketer provide them the tools to make that happen, to make the sale easy for them, to make them be successful and to become top rep?
How does branding come into all this? Because, we always talk about branding the company or branding the individual, branding yourself. How does branding come into this for the employee or the salesperson that's going on? Since we always talk about the brand being so important.
That's a very good question. And if you think of the difference between, McDonald's and the corner shop, like McDonald's, it's McDonald's. Come on, like who doesn't love the golden arches, right? You see a little kid, they see the golden arches. There you go. There you go. You know what, Elisa, that's a great example.
Starbucks is my brand. People know me by Starbucks. It's not even funny anymore.
I will tell you my story right now about Starbucks. That's another story.
There was an old colleague, Martine, and I used to work with, where every time he would come to New York, because that was my territory, he would be like, let me guess, you want to go to Starbucks? You want to meet at Starbucks, right? I'm like, yeah. Well, not only for the fact that there's a Starbucks on every corner, but listen, it's just, whatever. I have a really, not to cut you off on the branding piece, but this is super critical and something that always goes under the radar. Talk a little bit about why it's important that someone from the outside speaks to the marketing behind a company's efforts, right? So when you're teaching somebody about your product, when you live and breathe your product, you work for that organization, are you going to always hit those points that they're trying, or are you going to hear it with different ears when you're outside of the organization, that objective opinion? Why is it always important to get that objective opinion from somebody like you who doesn't necessarily aren't employed by that particular organization?
Okay, I understand the question now. So I have a current client which I have exactly that type of relationship, and well, I have that relationship with all my clients, but there's one particular example where it's exactly that. It's the ability or the importance to be able to communicate pain to power. So not only are you communicating down to the team and be able to say, this is what we need to do, team, and let's get on board, and we need to, this is the plan, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to execute it. But if I see that the company needs a major shift in their strategy. I'm coming from an outside perspective, and it's funny, I have a client, actually a different client, but which is ISM, and one of the COO is, the CTO is very good, because he's right from the start, he said to me, what are your first impressions? Before you even get entrenched into our culture and learn about what we do and all the
Before you
stuff
go native.
So I do that now, and thanks to him, I do that now with all my other clients, including this most recent client that I was just mentioning, is how do I communicate that pain to power? Who's the CEO? Who's the, and it's his baby, he's the founder. So how do I communicate, we need to do this, or we need to do that? Or by the way, your branding is not on point. And if you want, and I'm not saying I'm just using examples, but it's so important to have that outside opinion. Bless you, my goodness.
Thank you.
It's so important to have that outside opinion, and to be able to see with fresh eyes that when you're entrenched. And again, and I often give sales training, and they're going to say to me, "What do you know about my business? I've been doing this for 25 years." Well, exactly.
Exactly. You wouldn't give yourself a haircut, right?
Why not? You butcher it, but it'll be funny. No,
but you need that objective opinion. And I feel like that's where most organizations really miss the mark. I've had people come to me after I've been on board and say, okay, before you go native, give us your assessment. And it's a minute, because you're already entrenched. You're already starting to learn the team and the ins and outs and the hiccups and all of that. So it's really hard to do that. So to have that outside perspective, particularly in marketing, and you can also make the argument, from a customer service standpoint, an efficiency standpoint, you need some outside objective. But from that branding perspective, just to tie it back to Min's question, you need to have that objective opinion, someone from the outside to show you, to hold up the mirror and say, this is what you look like. Critical.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because you mentioned other sectors of a business, HR or finance or and the biggest mistake is that companies will be running for multiple years before they even hire a CMO or a marketing director or a marketing anything really, and they have sales drive the marketing efforts. But again, that branding, coming back to Min's question, it's so critical. And I have a client that said to me once, Martine, this is a really big project. I have one question for you. What is the biggest mistake that clients often do? And I said, you don't speak to your customers. The biggest mistake is that they don't speak to their customers, whether it's picking up the phone, whether it's a quarterly newsletter, whether it's social media, whether it's a compelling website, whether it's Google AdWords, whether it's a mailer, whether it's a trade show. Mm-hmm. Speak to your customers on a regular basis, and once a month, a touch point.
The other thing is listen. They don't listen. Some of them don't listen, and I won't name names.
Right, that's for sure.
But I mean, and again, yeah, I mean, you need to be in their face it's like a real estate agent. I mean, they send you stuff in the mail every friggin' day. You get a little postcard. And again, I have clients in that industry as well, and the amount of money we spend on that kind of stuff, he has a touch point every month.
Wow,
that's impressive. Whether he calls his database or he, and again, it's the same thing. And I'm going to challenge every time. Where's your CRM? What are you using? How are you communicating with your client? Are you following up on a regular basis? If you just had a sales call, or if you sent a box of chocolate, again, I had another client sent a box of chocolate. They didn't follow up. Follow up. And people, oh, I'm too shy. Oh, I don't want to bother them. Well, then you're not a salesperson, or you need to get your butt in gear and follow up.
Martine, that was a really helpful insight into what you do and how you work with folks in and out of the industry. For anyone who wants to connect with Martine, we're going to add a link below for her website, or how else can they get a hold of you?
Feel free to call, website, email. The coordinates are, if they're going to be at the bottom, the website is pur7.ca. And I mean, give me a shout. I put the phone number and I'll be glad to have that conversation with you. I mean, I do, the pre-diagnostics of like a free discovery meeting that we can have a quick chat. That's always helpful to see what we can bring to the table and how we can achieve those growth goals.
Awesome.
That sounds tacky, growth goals, but that's what it is.
Yeah, it's all good. You can't eat it.
Everyone's got to grow. So,
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Thank
you so much, guys. It's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, we're not done yet. Don't you worry about that.
All right.